In this video I'm going to discuss about various data types offered by PostgreSQL. So there are a lot of data types in PostgreSQL, so I have categorized them based on its nature and listed out in the table format. So let us see each and every data type and its significance and its real-time usage. Okay, so when it comes to numeric category, there are total 5 data types. Numeric, which is mainly used to store the numeric numbers with the precisions or without precisions. It depends on the requirement. In case if you want to have a precision, so while you are defining the data type, so you can simply say numeric of 10, 2 or 10, 5, 10, 6 according to your precision need, right? And when it comes to integer, it's a 4 byte maximum size of it, so this is a maximum range, and then you can just simply sample value. So if you try to store decimal values into it, so it will ignore decimal values and it will store whole number. And when it comes to small int, it is intended to store only 2 byte integer values. The range starts from 32,767. Okay, and the difference between small int and integer is only size, so otherwise it functions in the same way. And when it comes to big int, it is intended to store very big numbers, as I mentioned here in the range. And then real data type is basically a 4 byte floating point data type, and then you can store up to 6 decimal digits precision in this data type. So if you have a requirement to store too many precision points in a given value, you can go for this. Okay, and when it comes to string family, there are 4 data types offered by Postgres. One is char, another is bpchar. So char and bpchar are technically same. In older versions it is called as bpchar, so that's the reason I mentioned, but you can choose to name however you want, but functionally this is the same. Okay, and when it comes to varchar, it's a variable length character string. As we all know, in RDBMS databases, this data type stores the characters with a variable length. It means, like, let's say if you define a column with varchar of 250, but if you try to store only 4 characters in it, it won't occupy 250 characters equivalent space. It only occupies 3 characters space. Okay, and when it comes to text data type, this is meant to store huge data in it. This is a kind of equivalent to CLOB data types in Oracle. Okay, so if you have a requirement to store huge data into your column, so then go for text. It can hold up to GBs of data in text data type. So you can also store some JSON and XML kind of data also into text data type columns. Okay, so we'll also cover semi-structured data types further here. And then next category is date and time. So when it comes to date and time, so there are total 4 data types. One is date. So use this data type only when you wanted to store only date value without any time. If you try to store a value which has a time, then it ignores the time and it only stores the date. So be careful when you are storing the values. Okay, and in case if you wanted to have store timestamp along with time zone value, then go for this timestamp with time zone value. So this allows you to store time zone value also. Okay, so this is mainly useful when you are dealing with data that is incoming from many time zones into your database. Okay, and if you wanted to simply ignore time zone but you wanted to store date plus time, then this is the right data type, timestamp without time zone. Okay, and then interval data type is simply to store intervals like this: 1 day 2 hours, 1 day 3 hours. Okay, and then geographical data types. There are two data types which are mainly used. Even there are few more which may not be used widely, but circle and polygon. So I'll make a separate video on this by explaining real-time usage along with the table creation, right? And then moving on to next category, network data types. So these two data types are mainly intended to store IP address of your system, or maybe a laptop, or maybe a machine. So use this data type specifically when you have a requirement to store the IP addresses, right? For example, if you wanted to design a table which intended to track some of the machine IP addresses, in that cases don't use varchar. Use these data types because it has its own advantages, which I'll explain in further videos with examples. Okay, and coming to the semi-structured data type, these are very, very important data types, and within JSON it has got JSON and JSONB. So JSONB is known to store, not known to store, it is intended to store the JSON in a binary structure. So the only difference between JSON and JSONB is the way it operates internally within the PostgreSQL. Okay, otherwise when it comes to layman, both data types are eligible or and capable to store the JSON data. So the only advantage with the JSONB is very fast retrieval and very powerful indexing capabilities. For this also I'll make a separate video along with examples. Okay, and coming to the XML, as we all know, XML is also one kind of a semi-structured data. So you can store all the XML related data type datas here, and also Postgres has got a few functions to retrieve and to manipulate the XML data, for which also I'll make a separate video. And there are few specialized data types. Some of them are UUID, vector, query, point, line, head, store, array. All these are are used in a specialized scenarios. For example, UUID, right? If you wanted to store universally unique identifier value, right? There are functions to generate UUID also in PostgreSQL. I will also make separate video on this. And then these TS vector and TS query also very, very powerful and unique to PostgreSQL, and they are mainly used in text search. Okay, I will also make a separate video on this because this itself is a huge topic. Okay, and these two are again kind of geographical data types. Okay, and so for which also I'll bring up some use cases and I'll explain where and all you can use them. Right, and array data type is simply meant to store a list of array values in your column. Apart from this standard data types, PostgreSQL also allows us to define your own custom data type, which is called as user defined data type, or UDT. So I'll try to cover that use case separately in a different video. Okay, that's all from this video. Thank you for watching.